Hi there. Welcome to Ananda Permaculture Farm. My name is Manisha Lat Gupta and I am the steward of this land. Now, you may have seen on our social media handles that I've been very busy working on my earth architecture project. And what you see behind me are little glimpses of what this is shaping up to be. So what we've done here is we've built a structure in rammed earth, and we've also tried to recycle old doors which we just bought from literally a junkyard. And this is an example of one such door, which is absolutely beautiful. It's been brought back, restored, like I say, a little surgery has been performed on it, and it was as good as new for it to be our kitchen entrance door. So I'll talk more about earth architecture in some videos which are going to come up. So if that's an area of interest for you, remember to subscribe to our channel and also to click on the notification button, because very soon I'll be putting out a series of videos on how to build a project, a structure using materials which are natural and which have minimal impact on the ecology. So with that preamble, let's get started on what's growing. Today I'm going to take you for a walk down this beautifully laid path into my sunken garden and then into the Wi-Fi garden. So come, let's go. You're familiar with our sunken garden. It's just a little place which is actually a bit sunken, and that's the way it was naturally. So we call it the sunken garden. And a few years ago, I set up these structures to plant tomatoes. And frankly, I can't bear to grow anything else here. I think they just look so beautiful. And I love trellising up my tomatoes here. And, they look lovely from every which angle, apart from being extremely productive as well. So here in these three beds, what you see is tomatoes and then some residual chili plants, which we had planted a long time back, and they're still going strong, so I don't have the heart to actually remove them. But when they do die, I don't replace them with chili plants, because I want this to be a predominantly tomato and maybe some herbs like coriander or fenugreek or even garlic, which grows pretty well here in partnership with tomatoes. So there's tomatoes here, and on the floor you will see some amount of fenugreek and some amount of coriander growing as well. You'll see a lot of coriander growing here. Yeah, and then tomatoes trellising. They're laden with flowers. Trellising them gives it a little bit of a bounce, which is important for the flowers to get pollinated, because remember, tomatoes are pollinated by the wind. And what you see behind me here under the mango tree is actually a sweet potato. And this sweet potato has self-seeded. It was planted the previous winter in a small patch, but then it just grew through the monsoons and sort of spread itself all over the place. I think soon it will be time for us to start harvesting and eating some of these sweet potatoes. It isn't yet bitterly cold, and I think it'll be great to have them when it becomes really cold, and maybe we can roast them over a fire and have them. To my left here is sweet corn. Now it's unusual, I think, for people to see corn growing in beds. But the thing is, like, if we don't plant them near enough, then I always miss the date by which I have to pick out the corn. So I've kept them really just right under my nose so that I don't miss that. All right, so here we are now at the entrance of the Wi-Fi garden. You are familiar with the Wi-Fi garden. It's been designed in the shape of a Wi-Fi signal. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. That's not why it's called Wi-Fi garden. And what we've done here is you can see the afternoon sun falling on my face, and then look at the garden behind me. It's densely planted, but every tree, every shrub, every plant has enough light for it to thrive. So that's really the gist of garden designing and of permaculture. How do you put in a lot of plants into one space and make sure that everything gets light? That way you're getting productivity at various levels. So you'll see beds, and we'll just walk across some of them. But here to my left, you will see not only tomatoes and then some cauliflower growing at the far end, But you'll also see three very young trees. One is citrus, the other is pear, and this is guava, right? So we've put young trees which are going to stay at about 10-15 feet height forever, and the mango trees at the back will be much taller. And we've also interspersed a lot of moringa trees in between. You'll see in this garden there are a lot of moringas. Moringas are great because they are nitrogen fixing, they are a superfood, their leaves make excellent mulch and fertilizer because they are very small and they decompose quite fast. And their shadow is very like dappled, the dapple shade. So it doesn't really conflict with the growth of the other plants growing under it. So I'm actually very bullish on moringa, and I have planted a lot of moringa trees wherever I'm growing vegetables, and frankly, wherever I find some space, I tend to put a moringa tree. Now, this is a busy bed. You'll see this bed is filled with bok choy, and on either end of it is beetroots. These beets are also probably now setting and sort of getting ready for harvesting. No, they're still small. So I guess a little bit more time and we should be able to start pulling them out and enjoying them and maybe having some apple beet carrot juice. So a lot of greens growing here. And of course, bok choy is lovely with some soya sauce and like a stir fry. On the left here, you'll see the fresh plantation of brinjals. It's all brinjal here. And every year we plant new brinjals, and of course the old ones keep giving us vegetables as well. Coming up here, again on my left, you'll see a little bit patchy garden, but again filled with, I think, broccoli. And to my right here, you'll see cauliflower, lettuce, and beetroot. And in the middle of it all is one self-seeded papaya. I definitely did not plant this. And it seems to be doing pretty well. I'll just remove the ones which are a little bit mutated, but otherwise it seems to be doing quite well. And because this is bang in the bed, every time the beds get watered, the papaya benefits as well. So looking forward to harvesting some of these. I think they're looking quite good. And yeah, on the left here, you'll see rocket. The first time I'm growing rocket actually, and I'm really excited by it. Like in India, this is not really native to our region, and I've always been excited at the thought of growing some things which are more exotic, because that just goes to show that I can grow a much bigger variety of things and have that kind of confidence. So in fact, this time I've planted rocket, and I've also planted asparagus and kale, and I'll show you the asparagus, which is germinated well and is currently in my garden. Lettuce and cauliflower you can see here, more rocket and brinjal. This brinjal is from last year. While it continues to give us fruit, it's important to keep planting more and more plants so that next year this might die out, but we'll have new plants giving us brinjal. I have a lot of bok choy, clearly. And just look at that beautiful green. This seems to be a different variety of lettuce from the other one. This is Grand Rapids. You can just see the leafy green, very pretty green color that you see here. At the top of the Wi-Fi garden, just under the slope, from where the water would come down in the event of rain, you'll see a line of papaya circles. And almost all the papayas are doing very well, except those who haven't got enough sunlight. And so it's pretty evident that, some trees are not going to do well, because I can't really prune my mango trees beyond a certain point. So those trees I'll sacrifice. But look at all the others. They're doing really well, and zero maintenance again. All we do is put all our decaying matter into the papaya circle. We water them, of course, maybe perhaps once a month, and the rest of the time they're just trapping water coming down the rain. So in fact, once our structure is ready, the grey water from our kitchen is also going to flow into this garden, and that grey water is going to be recycled here, but we'll talk about that in another video. All right, let me go up and show you the asparagus and where that is planted. And these tomatoes are doing quite well. I think they might need to be thinned out a little bit, but they are more shrubby in nature. I think it's a different variety from the one that was growing in the sunken garden. And this is the asparagus. Can you see? It's actually quite a fragile little plant when it's small. But it is a perennial, and once it sets off, I believe it's going to give me asparagus for a long time to come. So I'm actually quite excited, and I wasn't sure how much shade or light it needs. So I've planted them in 2-3 different places, and then I'll see what does best. And that way it'll be a learning for me. And gardening is all about experimentation. Like very often people ask me, oh, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? Where do I plant this? What do I need? What's the time for germination? Honestly, I don't think anybody has the answers, because your land, your area, your soil, your water, your sunlight will be completely different from mine. And so the more experiments you run, the more confidence you'll get in what you're doing, rather than saying, oh, I just did what she told me to and it didn't work. So I think it's important in permaculture to understand the concepts, like simple concepts, like if rain falls from the sky, harvest it, right? Look at the solar orientation, design your gardens accordingly. Stack your plants so that you get maximum productivity. Allow the natural nutrient cycle to establish itself. These are all concepts. Once you get those right, frankly, the world's your oyster. You can do anything. So that's our little walk around the Wi-Fi garden. Actually, there are some onions growing there also, which I didn't talk about, but never mind. And I hope you enjoyed this beautiful garden. Just take a look at it again and see how lovely it is. It's productive, it's green, it's just filled with food, nutrient-rich food. And I can't tell you how privileged we feel that we can actually eat all this and nourish our bodies with the food that nature had designed for us, and which we have the privilege of growing and harvesting on our own. So thanks for coming along with me on this walk. As you can tell, I've been up to a lot of exciting stuff, and I will be putting out a lot more content around that as well. So stay tuned and stay safe. And thank you for joining me once again.